to another exceptional episode of Extraordinary Ordinary Women. And I'm excited to be able to share with you stories of ordinary women in our community. Women who have had a dream or an idea and followed it through to fruition. Their stories will encourage you, uplift you, and hopefully inspire the seeds of greatness within your heart. For it's through sharing that we come to realize that we're not Robinson Crusoe all alone on our island, but that there is, particularly now with social media, this network of truly amazing women who stretch out their hand with encouragement. So when my life was turned upside down, I found this for myself. And so it is my gift to those women to be able to pay forward the gift of encouragement to others. So without further ado, I have great pleasure today in introducing you to Mandy Richards. Now, there's a lovely story behind this interview. Many years ago, and the operative word being many, when, when I was teaching primary school, I had the delight of knowing this bright, aspiring youngster. But as happens with all youngsters passing through our classroom doors, she grew up and made her way in the world. So recently, I was introduced to Global Sisters and found myself continually praising this remarkable founder, a woman with both vision and grit to create something extraordinary. A woman I found myself admiring immensely and continuously. So not long afterwards, I bumped into her mother at the shopping centre and once again stood on my soapbox and commenced praising this inspiring woman, only to joyfully learn that the woman I was celebrating was in fact the same young girl I once taught. So what a full circle moment that was. Because as I said before, most of the time students pass through our doors and we don't get to see what they do with their lives. So what a joy it is today to be able to share her story with you. Mandy Richards is the founder and CEO of Global Sisters. Inspired by her mother's struggles as a single parent, Mandy set out to make starting a business accessible to every woman and to create pathways to financial independence when mainstream jobs weren't an option. Her career includes extraordinary achievements from international programs that guide and support women entrepreneurs in third world countries to launching a multi-million-dollar startup and being named one of Pro Bono Australia's Impact 25 Most Inspiring Leaders. Now, I could spend the whole of this session listing her accomplishments, but today we're focusing on her vision in creating Global Sisters and the powerful impact it's having for women. So Mandy, welcome.
Thank you. That was quite an introduction.
It was, wasn't it? But it just needed to be done because it was just so reflective of you and your work.
Thank you.
So Mandy, you were involved with quite a lot prior to Global Sisters. What was the turning point that led you to start and focus on Global Sisters?
Oh gosh. So I guess like I've always tried to I guess my jobs were always something generally that meant a lot to me. I always felt like I had to do something that was purpose-led. Otherwise, what was the point? And I would hate it. I had to feel like I was achieving something meaningful. And and I ended at one stage I found myself on Dragon's Den, which was a reality TV show for entrepreneurs. And I won the highest amount of investment out of that. And that just set off this crazy learning curve, a big adventure, which I ended up walking away from very burnt. But I after that, I just thought, right, I'm ready for something else, but I want to use everything that I've learnt to achieve something meaningful. And I took on a role in the social enterprise space, and then one thing led to another, and I ended up starting Global Sisters a few years after that.
So I recall in your in one of the podcasts I was listening to that you started it, you birthed your a child and Global Sisters,
Yeah.
but then it actually came into fruition a little bit longer. So it took you quite a while to get it started, get your ideas flowing.
Yeah, so after my my big Dragon's Den enterprise, I spent a few years working in the social enterprise space. And I had a few experiences, and I knew I wanted to start up something that helped women, and something around human rights. And I also knew the way to have the most impact is either through education or employment. And the space that I knew most about was employment and, entrepreneurship, business startup. So I kind of had these thoughts bubbling away in my head. And then I went on this trip to Vietnam and found myself in the mountains of Sapa, in the middle of nowhere, talking to these women, Hills tribe women who were carrying babies. They had these amazing woven baskets they'd made by hand, and their husbands were sitting at home doing nothing, and they're hiking around the middle of these mountains looking for customers. And I just started thinking, gosh, I need to create some sort of a platform that can help women sell products and reach markets that they otherwise couldn't reach, but also how can I help them create things that people actually want to buy that are really marketable. And that was actually that was really the concrete start of a thought for Global Sisters in my head. And then, yeah, I fell pregnant, and I went on mat leave. And a week before I had my son, Max, I was lying on the couch, um, feeling quite cranky and not able to do much. And I started working on Global Sisters properly. And so a week later, I had Max. And then, um, while he was a baby and not doing much except eating, and sleeping sometimes, I started really working on Global Sisters properly, and that was what kicked it off, and that was when it kicked off. So that was August, end of August 2012. Um, and fairly soon after that, I started another work with Sydney Community Foundation, and I was just working part-time at home, but I was working on Global Sisters all at the same time. And so it just started, just slowly started. I was always working on it. And then it just got to the point in, I think it was 2014, I started really working on it full time. But 2016 was the official kickoff, when we had a board and people were actually getting paid. So that's the date we talk about as having launched. But I was working with women from the end of 2012, actually, really figuring out what they needed. Yeah, just trying different ideas to see where was going to have the most impact.
So I think that's what really intrigues me, because being of a different generation where basically you grew up and you took one of five career paths, and mine was teaching and married at that stage to a farmer, so very much concrete shoes. I'm in total awe of the thinking capacity of being able to gather ideas and put them together, because what you've created with Global Sisters is nothing short of phenomenal. Would you like to expand on the realm of Global Sisters so people know what it's all about? Because it really is an incredible organization.
Yeah, sure. It's definitely evolved though. I didn't go into it with this really clear idea of what it was going to look like and how I was going to make it happen. I went into it with a clear idea of the impact I wanted to have, but that was
Right.
about it. And the rest evolved, and it's constantly a learning curve, because we're always figuring out what it is that's needed most, and that changes. The market and the world change so quickly. So, um, for example, during COVID, we launched very quickly a marketplace so women could set up businesses online really quickly. But anyway, back to your question. So our overarching focus is women's economic security. We're really focused on women in Australia, and we also have a number of Kiwis in there at the moment. But we have a model that is really scalable, and we were invited to APEC just last year, to share it with all the APEC economies. So it is a model that could be picked up and taken anywhere, but we're very much focused on Australian women. So we started off focusing on self-employment, and the reason for that was because it's something that is achievable, but it's hard to do on your own. But the key piece is that it offers flexibility. So for women that find themselves trapped by their circumstances, whether it's you know, recovering from violence, or they're a solo mum and they've got, you know, kids to care for, or they have elderly parents to care for, or it's someone with a disability or mental health issues, or you know, suffering from a chronic illness, for example. Like, there's so many reasons that women find themselves unable to go into an office and do a normal 9 to 5 job. So our aim was really to create an organization that could really provide a one-stop shop for business, micro business, self-employment. And so on that side of things, it really is a one-stop shop. There's business education, business coaching, microfinance, all sorts of sales and marketing support, and opportunities. And the most important thing I think, and I don't know if you found this, is the community. And we find so many of the women that we support are quite isolated because of their circumstances. And business can be a really lonely journey for anyone, and you really need some support around you. So we have a really beautiful community, and we've supported over 8,000 women now across Australia. And they really support each other online, but also quite often little groups, and we support it pop up in, you know, in different areas right around the country, where women come together face to face and just connect and, you know, talk about their business, and quite often collaborate as well. So that's the business side of things. There's no start, there's no finish. It's not like it's not a program as such. It's a community of support, and women can just dip in and out as many times as they like and take what they need when they need it. And it's designed to be really accessible and really flexible. And the women in our community are so diverse. They're right across the country. Our youngest has been 16. Our oldest, I have absolutely no idea. But you know, there's no stopping. And you know, one of our most successful entrepreneurs, in fact, our highest seller on the marketplace, is a lady who um, uh, you know, could be receiving the old age pension, and she's managed to earn so much from her business, she hasn't needed it. It's amazing. So that's the self-employment side of things. And then the other side of what we do is, which is all intertwined, working on initiatives that are aimed at removing systemic barriers that we've identified through the women we're supporting that are really holding women back. So one of those is the welfare system. You know, a lot of women that we support are receiving some sort of government support. And it's a system that is really outdated. It was designed for men. It was certainly never designed for solo mums, who we have a lot of. And it was never designed to support self-employment, only crappy jobs that have no career prospects for women and that don't meet their circumstances. So we're pushing really hard to change that. Another piece that we're working hard on, we call it financial pathways, but basically what it is working with services and products providers like big, you know, banks, for example, or insurance providers, to bring out products and services that meet the needs of women on low incomes. And then the third one, which is what we're hoping to get off the ground in Armidale soon, is our housing project, which we're really excited about. And that's, you know, that's focused around housing ownership for women on low incomes. And, you know, it's common sense, but I guess we hadn't really thought about it too much, but we just kept finding it over and over again that, you know, if a woman doesn't have a stable house and a roof over her head, then she has no hope in hell of being able to build out the rest of her life. Yeah, so that's that's a summary of what we do.
And, you know, I am just in awe of what you do, because I've come across, well, you were inspired from your mum's personal circumstances of being a single mum and finding, you know, the challenges that she went through in order to support you. I myself, you know, at the beginning of the divorce was looking at, you know, where to go. I couldn't borrow money because, you know, of my age, et cetera, and there were so many barriers there.
Yeah, they really are.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah. But just women generally. And then, you know, as soon as you get into any particular bracket, like you're a single mum or you're over 50, or, you know, you have a weird name or whatever, then there's suddenly all these additional barriers that you have to navigate.
Yes. So I'm imagining that your work prior to Global Sisters helped you with your networking and your contacts in order to be able to do what you're doing financially within Global Sisters.
Not really. No, not really. There there were probably two connections, I would say, really, from and they were both from my previous role with Social Ventures Australia when I was working in the social enterprise space. Um, that I was working with right at the start, and one of them was a lovely refugee organisation in Canberra, and that was some of their women were the women that I first started working with some of the staff. It was an organisation called Companion House, and they were the first women that we started working with and helping them to develop products and sell them. And they were all product based; they weren't services. And also Minter Ellison, who are just the best lawyers. They helped set up our whole microfinance program for us, which was pretty epic. And us still supporting us to this day. They've been amazing. But other than that, no, I just it's funny, I always find the right people come along at the right time. You would never catch me at a networking event or anything like that. Um, and I don't mind, I mean, I guess I just don't mind asking people for things if it's for something that I believe in.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
But
no.
I'm with you with the universe, the right people at the right time for the
Mm,
right reason come into our lives. Yeah. So we both know that no meaningful work comes without its challenges.
mm.
What were some of the toughest moments or obstacles that you faced in pursuing this vision of Global Sisters?
The only thing that has been hard for me is people, HR. Like that drives me bonkers. I'd be delighted to have an organization with no people. Having said that, we have an amazing team, but it's taken a while to get there. It's that's been in itself quite a learning curve. And we've got a great team now and a great culture. But it definitely hasn't always been the case. And that's the only thing that's genuinely caused me stress about Global Sisters in the 10, 13 years that I've been working on it.
Right. And I guess that's a learning curve and a skill that you just navigate as you progress and the right people come at the right time.
Yeah, it's definitely been a learning curve because I guess I always set up Global Sisters, like right from the start, I set it up to be a place that suited me, a place where I wanted to work. And so everyone on the team gets 5 weeks holidays a year, and at Christmas we shut for 2 weeks, and one of those weeks, I give everyone the extra holidays, so they only have around the public holidays, so they only have 1 week. Because I used to always think it was rough when workplaces would make you use up a week of your precious 4 weeks at Christmas. And um, uh, we do an offsite where we bring the whole team together and do something really lovely, but it's not full of stupid um, team bonding exercises. It's just a lovely place where everyone gets to hang out and actually get to know each other. We work remotely. That suits me because I have a really busy lifestyle like most women, and I need to make the most of every minute. And I don't want to be spending 2 hours a day in the car. And I have a kid that I have to pick up and take around the place. So very flexible workforce. Yeah. Anyway, I think Global Sisters is quite a unique place to work, and that definitely helps with having some amazing people on board, most of whom are women. We only have one man on our team.
And I might just say, I've met one of the women who work, or two of them who work for you, and they likewise say nothing but high regards of working for Global Sisters. But it's very, very interesting, your comment about as a female entrepreneur, business owner, you're able to understand how other females function, i.e., with children, with workloads, etc. Because so many times I've heard women who say that they work for a female boss.
Mm.
It is so much more enlightening and free.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think
Hmm.
I do think I mean it depends where you work and also the size of the organization. I mean, Global Sisters is not big and I don't want it to get big. I think we've probably got close to 25, which is way bigger than I ever wanted it to be, but it won't get bigger than that. Um, but I do think, I don't know, I think women as leaders have so much to offer and so many they just approach things
Different.
differently. And it's
Yeah.
a pity we don't have a lot more world leaders who are women. But one thing I have noticed is a lot of women in those power jobs actually act like men rather than acting like women. And so they don't bring everything to the workforce that they could, that I think is special, that women do bring to the work environment. But anyway, thankfully I'm not in that I'm not in that situation. I have a small organization and I can do what I like. So that's the beauty of having a small entrepreneurial organization. We can move really quickly, we can react really quickly, and we can fix things really quickly if they're not working.
Absolutely. So, having walked this path, what would you say have been the most rewarding aspects of your journey?
Oh, definitely just meeting the women that we work with every day. They are, I mean, I don't get to meet as many as I used to, and it tends to just happen at certain times when we have a particular event that I get really involved with. Um, but yeah, it's just, um, they inspire me every day, and that's why the whole team do what they do. We just meet the most incredible, resilient, strong women with such a diversity of stories. And yeah, that's I don't know, that's what life's about. I love meeting new people, and I love being inspired, and I love that we do something that is helping so many.
Oh, and look, I have to say, I totally agree with what you've just said because I had the good fortune of meeting Diana Connell, who spoke at the Vinnie's Sleep Out.
Mm.
Wow, what an inspiration! What a
Yeah,
story, and what an
yeah,
inspiration she is. Uh, amazing, amazing.
yeah, she
So,
is.
oh, she is. So, if that's the caliber of the people that you're meeting within your organization, that's truly amazing. So, finally, Mandy, what words of wisdom or advice would you like to share with our listeners today?
Ooh. I don't know if I'm a good person to hand out wisdom and advice. I think, well, two things that I've learned. One thing that I've observed always, I used to work in the innovation space and I used to see this a lot as well, is that you don't get anywhere unless you start. I see a lot of people, and it's certainly a personality type, who want everything to be perfect before they start. Um, and I mean, my experience is all you need to start is a clear idea on where you want to get. Like, what is it that you want to achieve? And then you just have to start, and start small. I'm a big fan of starting small and testing things out in a low risk manner. And then that way you find the path. A piece of advice I was given when I went on Dragon's Den, which really stuck with me, was don't let money be a barrier. Like, don't let money be a reason to not do something. And that was huge for me because I grew up, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. Money was a big issue in my household. And so that was a real mental barrier for me. It was the first thing I would think of with everything. Well, how can I afford that? How can I pay that? How can I make that happen? And I've totally gotten rid of that now. But that was something that I really had to learn, and it was really good advice. And I think the other thing that I've learned is to trust your gut and really believe in yourself. And yeah, I at one period I made a big mistake by listening to some older men who were successful, had lots of money, were older than me, were investing in a business of mine, and ultimately, when I listened to them, it took us down a path that failed. And that was a big learning curve for me. So I think they're the main things that I kind of think about that are super helpful.
And it's really, really interesting because, I love the one that you started off with. Just start, have an idea and just start. It doesn't have to be
Mm,
perfect. Uh,
mm.
Brilliant. Mandy, thank you so much for sharing your story and the incredible work you're doing with Global Sisters. It has been indeed a pleasure having you on the show. And for our listeners who want to learn more or get involved, there will be a link. There is a link in the description box. And I look forward to sharing the story of another extraordinary, ordinary woman with you all.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.